I honestly believe that. There will be a larger uproar. I think a lot of people are upset with Trump, especially with this, just to stick to the sports topic, with him calling NFL players SOBs because they decided to take a knee and through his views and many others, disrespect the flag. But a lot of people didn't see this energy and anger after the Charlottesville situation where he spoke on it and he said, quote unquote, well, there's good people on both sides. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with that one quote. And we just feel like, okay, that was very more like, meh. But when this situation came up, you could feel the anger in his voice, calling those NFL players SOBs and then stating the fact that they should be fired. So I think that disconnect is especially from Black America.
Sure.
And I'm just speaking this firsthand. What you saying earlier, that there is a lot of division in America right now. I just feel like as the president of the United States, and what he preached during his campaign was that he was not a divider. That was Hillary Clinton in his words. He was here to bring the country together. Well, by bringing the country together, that includes everybody. And a lot of people are feeling like what happened in Charlottesville with him not, I guess, to use the media term, condemn the Nazis who were up there with tiki torches and Confederate flags. And yes, that is their right to protest. That is their right to say whatever they want to say. I said this in a tweet. I'm never going to argue with anyone over their opinion. But I do have the right not to agree with it. Now, when I feel like you're getting disrespectful, well, that's a different level. Trump being upset with people taking a knee and disrespecting the flag, that is your opinion. I'm 100% behind that. That's okay. I don't agree with it, but that's your opinion. But when you get to the point of calling those players SOBs, now you're disrespecting their mothers as well as the players, and it's disrespectful. And as the president of the United States, that's not presidential, whether you are a politic or just a normal human being. When you're at that level of responsibility, that should have never came out of your mouth. I don't care if you're rallying the troops down there in Alabama or what, that should have never came out. I just felt that was the straw that broke my back. I wasn't too critical of Trump. This whole campaign, I don't even know how many months we in. I've said a couple of stuff, but the Charlottesville situation and then leading to this and him saying stuff like, well, I'm friends with a lot of the owners, which I'm going to get to that in a minute with these owners coming out.
Sure.
It's that bunch of crap. But him saying he's friends with the owners, to me, that justifies Colin Kaepernick. This has nothing to do with your talent. You took a knee. You disrespected the flag in their eyes. We are not giving you a second opportunity. Because if they're friends, a lot of friends think alike. I would say my circle of friends, we are all the same because most of us have the same mindset. That's why we are friends. So if Trump is saying this, to me, this is a conversation that is being had behind closed doors with NFL owners. They just never actually had in the words of Stephen A. Smith, the gall to actually say it. But we all know Trump will say it. But him saying it, I was mind blown when I heard that. Just blown away. Go ahead.
No. I agree with you on that point, is that he should not have used the term SOBs. And I understand.
But that's how he felt.
Why he did
that was real emotion.
Right. Oh, yeah. And unfortunately, he does not do a very good job. He is a guy that what you see is what you get. There is no
That's
filter.
true. I don't know if it's good what you get, but
right. And it would almost be like people that I know that either voted for him or liked him or whatever, him saying it didn't shock them. Like, it didn't shock me.
Oh, I wasn't shocked at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, because that's him.
Right.
Now, the situation that you bring up with the owners, and I know you're going to get into that in a little bit, that kind of goes at the heart that, the owners are not going to be strong-armed into doing anything that they don't want to do, because although there are civil liberties and there's rights that everybody has, there's also rights that employers have that they can demand of their employees of how they're going to act. A case in point, and I think this is what Trump was alluding to, and you and I even talked about it. Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, he told his guys before they came out of the locker room, you will stand for the national anthem or you will not be a part of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Now, Darren McFadden came out later and tried to refute that and said he's never heard that.
Right. Well, the actual comment that he made to the team was, you are actors on the stage and I own the stage. Now, whether...
That's a hell of a quote.
Yeah, it is. It really is a hell of a quote. Now, whether you or I agree with Jerry, it doesn't matter. He's the one that paid $150 million back in whatever it was, 1989, 1988, and he has the right to tell his employees, whether they're players or not, hey, look, this is what you will do if you're going to take my money.
Yeah,
and
he does.
He has every right to do that. Here's a good case in point. When I worked for Walmart as a manager, Walmart tries to portray themselves as this big, diversified, inclusive company that respects people's opinions and backgrounds and cultures. Well, that's a bunch of hooey, because as soon as you get on the payroll at Walmart and you go through their orientation, they list out a list of things of how you will act, of how you will dress. You have to cover up tattoos. You have to take out earrings. I mean, there's all of these things that they put into place as to what they deem acceptable, what they call business practices.
Right.
And they have the right to hire you or fire you. Now, they don't have the right to base that on your race or your religion or anything like that, but they do have the right to lay down guidelines as long as it doesn't violate anybody's civil liberties of what they deem acceptable business practices. And that, to me, is what Jerry Jones, and I think that's what Trump was alluding to. And the crazy thing is that everybody is wanting to jump to a conclusion that Trump was telling the owners to do it. He didn't tell them to do it. He was talking to his constituents, and he was telling them, hey, look, wouldn't it be funny if the owners did respond this way?
Now, that is correct. Course,
right. So it wasn't that he was given a directive. Now, he gave a directive to Roger Goodell.
Yeah, he told him,
why don't you take a stand?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he flat came after Roger Goodell. But you know what? That's Trump. He has the opinion that if you attack him, he's going to attack you back, whether he's the president of the United States or not. And I think that's just him being true to himself. And look, I don't agree with the terms that he used. I think there were other ways. First of all, I never would have brought that up in that forum. I mean, he was down there to support a senator that was getting elected, and he decided to go off on one of his tangents, which I don't agree with. I think too many times he needs to stay off social media. He needs to stop responding to people that he deems as critics, because the way I look at it is, hey, and I would love to tell him, hey, Trump, look, you decided to run to be president of the United States. That is the most difficult job literally in the world, because you're literally, even President Obama was hated by half the world, but he was loved by another half of the world. There were people that loved him, and there was people that was hated him just because of the office that he held. Now, My response to Trump would be, hey, put your big boy pants on. You decided to run for president. If you don't want the criticism that comes to the office, go back to building hotels. Otherwise, shut up and let's figure out a way to get our country moving in the right direction, and let's make everybody money. Because ultimately, that's what I voted for him for. Is I felt like he could help us from a financial standpoint more than he could do anything else. But I wish I could have a moment to tell him, and that's why I don't like when guys say to him, "Hey, look, I'm not going to the White House." I think that's an outstanding opportunity for Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James to pull him aside, take that opportunity to go to the White House, pull him aside because it's an all-day affair, and then say to him, "Hey, President Trump, I don't agree with you on this. Why did you make this statement?" and have a nice dialogue. I got to give Steve Harvey a lot of credit because he is not a Trump supporter at all. But I respect the fact that he asked for and was granted an audience with Trump. Trump met with Steve Harvey. They talked about some things, whatever it was privately that Steve wanted to address with him. But Trump heard him out, and then they went on their separate ways. So I understand why guys don't want to go to the White House, but at the same time, if it's me and I have that big of a problem with the man, I want to look him in the face because he's a public servant that we have elected to the United States. Whether you think he's the president or not, it's irrelevant. He is the president. But you have the right to look at him as a public official and say, "Hey, look, I don't agree with what you're doing. Explain to me why you're doing it, and do it here eye to eye, man to man, without all the cameras around." So I think I understand why the Golden State Warriors don't want to go. I understand why LeBron and everybody has their opinion. But at the same time, if I'm them and I'm in the position that they are, I would use my clout as being in that position to seek an audience with him to call him out eye to eye.
Yeah, and Adam Silver kind of touched on that, and he was stating that he was kind of disappointed that the Warriors didn't get an opportunity to go up there and speak with him. I just think...
Sure.
Now, I don't know if the players felt like that will even be a waste of time and he wouldn't listen. I just think because of the temperature right now is so hot in this country, they're pissed. And they don't even want to have the opportunity to be around them, let alone have a conversation with them. Piggybacking off that Charlottesville situation, that was a serious blow because even going into his campaign with the apartments and all kind of racial stories that came behind Donald Trump's name, I personally, Coach, actually experienced that firsthand in Chicago. There was an apartment complex that he used to own, and I had family that lived there where my family would be paying one certain price, but there would be white families, not even in a different complex itself, 2 doors down, paying half the price for rent. And when it was brought to their attention that this was the case, it was more of a, hey, shut up and pay your rent. So this was before he ran for the... I had that preconceived notion way before he even ran before The Apprentice, all of this. This was years ago. I was like 12, 13. And I got to experience that firsthand. So when you have a group of people, not even just African Americans, just group of individuals that already think you're racist, and then you go and hire the guy who's deemed as a white supremacist to be in your office, and then the stuff with Charlottesville happened, and you don't come out and say, hey, those people are disgusting, and you say, well, there's good people on both sides, people will look at it like, hey, you're justifying what they're doing. You're sticking up for them. That pretty much makes you one of them, in their opinion.
Right. And Steve, that's where people have to realize that as the president, he can't say that they're disgusting, because then that violates their constitutional rights. And if I remember him correctly, I believe his response to the whole